Ding. 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. 13th of March, 11 a.m. Central European Time, 10 o'clock in the UK. And a great start to the day for Bitcoin. We were struggling under 71,000 yesterday. We even broke below 70,000. Came all the way down to 69,420. And if anybody knows the significance of that, you know what I'm talking about. Good morning to you all. Good morning to Kishan. Good morning to Tartalan. Good morning to Hidden Agendas. Good morning to everybody that's joined us in chat. I hope you're having a wonderful day. 74,000. I called it a week and a half ago. I think we are there. I think today we could go up to 74,000. But as the title of the show is, correction incoming, are we going to break all-time highs like we did last time, push up towards 74,000, get rejected and come all the way down? Could we see another 5 or 10% correction? We're going to have a look at the charts in a short while, but first of all, what is the show going to be about today? We're going to look at the Bitcoin rampage. It was all over the place for a couple of hours yesterday. We're going to have a look at that. We're going to have a look at the layer 2s that are going to pump off the back of Denken. We are going to look at what Raoul Pal has had to say about Solana. The Ethereum maxi seems to be being converted to Solana, and I can only put that down to one person, and that's myself. I think he's been watching all of my Solana videos over the last few months, and he's decided that Solana is the future and not Ethereum. We're going to go have a look at some gaming tokens, and especially one I mentioned yesterday, which is Gala. We're going to have a little look at Gala. I'm going to tell you where I think that project can go and why gaming tokens are still not quite ready to pump, in my opinion. We're going to have a wallet warning about some wallets that you can download to your phone from the various different stores. And then final thoughts, which is normally something I make up at the end of the show. As we've gone through the show, people have asked questions. It's just my final thoughts. So that's how the show is going to go. And we're going to try and do all of this in an hour. We aim to do the entire show in 1 hour, 11 till 12, Monday to Saturday. On Saturday, I will hopefully be back in the studio with Brogan, and we will be live on camera. In the week, I don't bother setting the camera up for the morning show because I have lots of other things that I need to do. So we stream every day. So the best way you can help us out is smash the like button, press the follow button, press the subscribe button, whatever buttons you can, the notification bell, whatever you've got, make sure you press all the buttons, because I will be back tomorrow gloating that we've hit 74,000 and crying that we're at 68,000. I can see it. It's written in the tea leaves that I have in my coffee in front of me. So let's have a quick look at the charts. Look at that market cap. We're almost at $3 trillion. We are less than 10% away from $3 trillion. Some people predicted this market would be 3 to 5 trillion. The last market was 6 trillion. I think we'll hit 8 to 10 trillion. However, I think all of these prophecies can be thrown in the bin. I think we are going to have an immense 18 months. Good morning, Daniel. I hope you're doing well. Or Danny, should I say. I hope you're doing well. The volume, again, a very healthy 159 billion. Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum, still ticking away, still pumping away. I do see the Bitcoin dominance going up. We are 34 days from the halving. Less than 5 weeks from the event that only happens every 4 years. And we are not talking about the World Cup. We are not talking about the Olympics. We are talking about the halving, where the number of Bitcoin per day is reduced from 900 to 450. That's what we're talking about. So let's have a quick look at the charts. Bitcoin is up 73,335. Ethereum almost at $4,100. BNB decided to wake up and chose violence. 9% up in the last 24 hours for BNB is unheard of. We are nearly at $600 for BNB. It's an incredible move. Solana, again, above and beyond the $150 mark. We might talk a little bit more about that when we look at what Raoul Powell's had to say. And of course, we will have the Solana chart. So what's been doing well in the last 24 hours? Toncoin, my opinion, overvalued. I'm going to keep saying I don't care what price this coin goes to. It's overvalued. $4.27. Again, not financial advice. These are all my opinions, nobody else's. Thorchain is up 18%. Brogan will be happy. Dog with Hat is up. I cannot believe we were talking about Dog with Hat at 40 cents, and that feels like it was about 4 weeks ago. $2.27. Quant, a great project, Quant. Very low circulating supply, only 12 million Quant. So $143 for Quant. Good morning, Gianni. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Quant is a good project. It's not sexy though, so it's not going to do the rip-roaring multiples that most people will see from some of the meme coins, some of the sexy layer 2s. But Quant for me is a great project. Ronin is up 13%. Lots of pumpers. Have we seen too many? Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see too many on the downside. Bonk is down a touch. XRP is down a fraction. There isn't really any losers today. You wouldn't expect too many losers on a day when the entire market cap has gone up. The equivalent of about $70 billion has been added to the market cap in the last 24 hours. It's been a good day. And I think there are more to come. Now, this is going to be a fairly heavy show. So I hope you've all got coffee. I hope you're all sitting comfortably. There is an awful lot of X-Files to get through. We'll get through them as quick as we can. Then we'll do the Bitcoin chart. Then we will do the Solana chart. And then we will do the Gala chart. So we do have some charts. Now, this is a bit of a brain teaser for you. Grayscale, since the launch of the ETFs, has seen 7.45 billion of inflows and 11 billion of outflows. 3.55 billion has gone out, more than has come in, and it still has $28 billion in assets. So from the start of this entire ETF journey, we are still seeing Grayscale holding on to $28 billion simply because the price has gone up in value. So that is a bit of a mind melder. I nearly swore then. It's a mind meld because, of course, we've seen them lose billions to BlackRock, to Fidelity, to ARK Invest, but they're still holding on to the value simply because Bitcoin is so much higher than it was 4 or 5 weeks ago. So Patent Capital Management files to invest up to 15% of its 1.4 billion opportunity trust into spot Bitcoin ETFs. Hold, AVO, or sell? Well, not financial advice. If AVO is sitting above $3, $3.50, then I would probably sell. Maybe $4, I'd look at selling it. It depends what happens. What happens a lot of these coins is they pump up in price, hit a target, then they drop from. There's normally a huge sell-off. It finds a bottom, and then it finds itself its price. So what you could do is probably sell, take the profit, wait for the price to correct, and then buy back in. However, with Bitcoin pumping, if Bitcoin goes above $74,000, $75,000 today, and then hovers, all of the alts are going to pump, and AVO could end up at $5 or $6. So if we see a huge surge in the price of AVO today, it's just gone live, by the way. For anybody wondering what I'm talking about, somebody's asked if they should sell or hold their AVO tokens. It's just launched as of 9 minutes ago. So what I normally do is I sell the tokens if they pump, and I buy back in at a lower price. I did that with Jupiter. I sold a very small amount at 70 or 80 cents, and then I bought back in at 48 cents and 50 cents. So I got more Jupiter for my money. But I don't know what the price has opened at. Maybe we'll have a quick look in a minute. So what does this mean? It means 15% of their $1.4 billion trust will go into Bitcoin ETFs. Now, this on its own is not important because that's only about 200 million. It really isn't that important. What is important is that this is one of a number of trusts that over the next few months will be putting in 100 million here, 200 million here, 300 million here, and that's what's important. So this is the future of institutional investment into Bitcoin, and once they start to see this price absolutely soar, they are all going to move in and they are all going to want to buy their Bitcoin. BlackRock and Fidelity hold 331,000 Bitcoin. They hold 23.4 billion Bitcoin in their ETFs. Now, to put that into context, Saylor and his gang, they have been accumulating Bitcoin for 3 years. They hold 200,000. BlackRock and Fidelity have accumulated 1.5 times that in a month. So my target of the end of this year was anywhere between 500,000 and 1 million Bitcoin in ETFs. I think we're going to surpass the 500,000 quite easily. We could end the year with 700, 800, 900,000 Bitcoin in the hands of ETFs, which of course is about 4% of the supply. Now, there is an entire series of videos to be made on whether that is whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for Bitcoin in the long term. But for now, all this is doing is it's driving the price of Bitcoin up. As I keep saying, the price has to go up until it finds equilibrium with the amount of new money coming into crypto. Now, that one doesn't appear to be there, so let's move on. What is up next? This is unbelievable. I cannot believe I'm reading this. So the Biden administration is proposing a 30% tax on electricity used by Bitcoin miners, even if you are off-grid using your own solar and wind generation. All of the reasons they provide are pretextual. Their real reason is they want to suppress Bitcoin and launch CBDC. Now, I'm going to just very quickly, does it actually have the bit highlighted in here? Here. So, I can't highlight it, but firms that least... Okay. Firms that produce or acquire power off-grid, for example, by using the output of a particular electricity generating plant, would be subject to an excise tax 30% of the estimated electricity costs. So what they're saying is, if you're sitting at home, and I know you're not a miner, but if you were sitting at home and you were a miner and you had your own solar power and you were generating your own electricity, which is on your land and it's your property, they want to charge you a 30% tax on the energy that you produce, which is outside of what their national grid produces. It is criminal. And I'm not going to say more about that for obvious reasons, but that is absolutely criminal. It's the same way that there are laws to stop you from growing your own fruit and vegetables if you live in America, or harvesting your own rainwater. In some states, not in every state. It's criminal. Now, this was a last-minute thing that I thought I would throw in. It's not really an X-file. It's just to put into context where we are at this moment in time, not just with Bitcoin, but also with Ethereum. So over the last few weeks, we've been talking about how Bitcoin was coming for silver. It was coming for top 10. It was going to try and become a larger market cap than, you know, most of the blue chips in America. So as of yesterday, or maybe the day before, Bitcoin is now the 8th most valuable asset in the world. It's above silver, which was its first target. Now, look at where we are compared to gold. Bitcoin is 1/10 of the value of gold. And as of the halving, which is happening in 33, 32 days' time, Bitcoin's inflation will fall below that of gold. So Bitcoin will produce less Bitcoin per year than gold is produced per year, based on the amount in the circulating supply. So where do I think we're going to top out? I think conservatively we're going to be the second largest asset in the world in 18 months' time, because that is only really a 2x. So that puts the price of Bitcoin at $145,000. That would make it the second most valuable asset in the world. And I think we can do that. I think with everything that's going on, I think we can certainly look at that. That should be a target. If the market is going to double or triple from where we are now, that would put Bitcoin maybe at 4 to 5 trillion. Now, that's not the only crypto asset in the top 20. If we go down to 20th position, you'll see that Ethereum is now just behind Walmart, just behind JP Morgan and Tesla and Visa and these companies. So where could Ethereum go to? Well, if Ethereum doubles in this bull run, it puts it at just under 1 trillion. That would put it 11th above Berkshire Hathaway. So we could potentially see in 18 months' time 2 cryptocurrencies in the top 10. We could see Bitcoin and Ethereum. And again, if we look at some of the price predictions, let's just pick one more and we say Solana. If Solana 5x's from where we are now, or maybe 6x's from where we are now, that would put Solana probably at about 300 billion. So Solana would enter the top 40 and be somewhere around this level here. Salesforce, Nestle, maybe even attempting to take over Toyota. So we could have multiple crypto assets in the top 50. Certainly, we would be looking to get 2 into the top 10. And that is some way from where we came from 8 years ago when I was following Bitcoin. To think it could possibly be the second largest asset in the world by 2025. And again, how long do we think it's going to be before it catches gold? Is Bitcoin going to take 4 years more? Are we going to see 2029, 2030? Is that going to be the year that we overtake gold? It's certainly a possibility, but just to put it into context, this magical money that your friends who know nothing about crypto, when they laugh at you because you've got your Bitcoin and your Ethereum, just say to them, you know it's the 8th most valuable asset in the world now. Ethereum is the 20th most valuable asset in the world right now. And of course, these are traded assets. So this doesn't include things like diamonds, doesn't include things like the wealth of royalty. These are assets that can be traded. These are assets that can be bought. Of course, there are always going to be newcomers to the market. The Saudi Aramco, I don't think that's been there forever and a day. I think that was only launched in the last 5 years. But of course, you've got Amazon, Google, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft. You have all the big blue chip tech companies up there. And of course, Meta is holding on to 10th position. I would expect that to certainly not be as high in about 4 or 5 years' time. I think Meta is fading as a company. So let's move on. Let's move on to talk about this Bitcoin rampage that we saw yesterday, where Bitcoin was literally all over the place. Longs were liquidated, shorts were liquidated. We restabilized about 70, 71,000, and then we've recovered back to where we are. So Bitcoin's wild 4 hours, new record of 73,000, tumbled to 69,000, rebound to 71,000, 360 million in liquidations. I feel sometimes in crypto, it's like that meme where you're sitting on the roller coaster and everybody around you is screaming and their hair's up and everyone's terrified, and you're just sitting there emotionless watching everything going on around you because you've lived through a bear market. You've lived through weeks and months of the price just doing nothing but go down. So when we finally see these pumps, when we finally see Bitcoin hitting these highs, 73, maybe 74 today, maybe 80,000 by the end of March, or maybe even 80,000 by the halving, it's kind of like it takes some time to get out of the mindset that we're in a bear market and get into the mindset of the bull market. And of course, people, your friends and family that are new to crypto, they think they're the greatest people on earth because they come, they buy Polygon, they buy Bitcoin, they buy Ethereum, and then suddenly they've made 20% in a week and they think they're Warren Buffett. But the people that were here in May and April last year, when we were really scraping the bottom of the barrel, they're the people that are now sitting here going, we're going to have a correction, we're going to have a correction. Because your mindset is so damaged from what happened last year that now you just can't believe we're at $73,000. And you're not going to believe we're at $73,000 for some time, because you don't know where the market. We're in price discovery. Don't forget, Bitcoin is now in price discovery. Ethereum isn't in price discovery. There's only a few coins, I think, which are currently in price discovery. Was it NEAR or IMX or one of the others is also in price discovery? There's a few, but Bitcoin is in price discovery. We could shoot to 80,000 today. We could retrace to 69,000 again today. We don't know. We can only have educated guesses. So momentum behind Bitcoin's rally has waned, so expect a period of consolidation. Matrix Port analyst noted. Again, this was written 8 o'clock last night. They don't know that we broke 73,000 this morning. You can't, in a bull market, you can't laugh at people who write articles, because 12 hours is a long time in crypto in the bull run. So Bitcoin's sudden dip from its all-time highs was quickly bought up. Altcoins lagged in the rebound. The sudden burst of volatility liquidated 360 million of leveraged derivatives positions across all assets, CoinGlass shows. The hotter than expected inflation reading will not impact the crypto bull market, a Nansen analyst said. I mean, yeah, we had the CPI report. It came in a tad higher than expected, and that will mean that interest rates will be kept probably at the same level for another month or two. Maybe we are looking towards June. I was expecting it to be April, May. We're going to start seeing interest rate cuts. Maybe it pushes into June. So we got above 73,000. We did correct. We came all the way down. At the time of writing, it's 71,150. Last time we checked, it was 73,300. So we've come up over $2,000 in the 12 hours since this article was written. ETH also dropped. Ripple dropped. We've had a few losers, but they've all reclaimed the prices they were at yesterday. I think XRP is still down just a touch, but most of the alts have gone back to where they were. Now, of course, it's not good if you're liquidated. I know that, but it is good for the market to flush out the leverage from Bitcoin, especially. So having these liquidations, 360 million. I think there was 1.4 billion. Was the last serious liquidation, which was last week. So 360 million isn't a lot. It sounds a lot because the price of Bitcoin and everything is going up, but it really isn't a lot. So we had some liquidations. We've had 360 wrecked, 260 long, and 100 short. And what tends to happen is the price will rocket up. The shorts will be liquidated. The price will come crashing down. That liquidates the longs. And that just cleans them out, especially the ones that are over leveraged. Maybe they're in 25x, 50x positions, whatever it might be. That'll just clean them out. It probably won't have taken out too many of the 5x or even 10x positions if they were not taken out right at the very top. So Bitcoin is having a bullish run. Matrix Port expects a period of consolidation. This bull market still has legs, but the divergence between a declining RSI and still high Bitcoin prices could signal that Bitcoin needs to consolidate before rallying higher. And again, as with all of these articles, coulda, woulda, shoulda. That's what you need to focus on. Could, would, and should. These are the kind of get-out phrases that people use. Of course, people are not going to put their necks on the line and say we're going to go to $100,000. You wouldn't expect them. But don't read it as gospel. They are saying, in their opinion, the price could stay the same. It could go higher. I'm not ever going to say we're going to go here or go there. I'm going to say where I think we're going to go. 69,000 is a key price level for Bitcoin for support. Remember, it was the previous all-time high. We don't need to read more about the RSI. So very quickly, let's go and have a look at the chart. Now, what I was going to do was I was going to show you the 1 hour chart to show you that we were putting in lower lows. All of that will have gone out the window now. There's no point in looking at any of that because everything has just been absolutely trounced. So here we are, over 73,000. Remember, my price target, and you can go back and look at the videos, My price target is about 74,500. That's my price target. Maybe 74.7, 74.8. I haven't set any price predictions above that. Let me make that very clear. That is my next goal for Bitcoin. And for those of you that have never watched before, what I like to see from Bitcoin is this very steady move. Yes, we had a dip. Very steady move. So if we do consolidate here for a while, I will be more than happy with that. The RSI is still high, but if you were around in the last bull market, you'll remember bullish divergence and bearish divergence are great when there isn't such volatility in price action. We spent, I don't know how many weeks back in October, back in September, back in August, where we had bullish divergence and the price would go down. We had bearish divergence and the price would go up. We are now in this mini pre-halving bull run where, don't forget, we've gone from 48,000 on the 10th of January. So 2 months later, we've gone from 48,000 to 73,000. $25,000 higher per Bitcoin in 2 months is exceptionally high. We have moved away an awful lot from the bull market support band. I do think, and I've said this before, I do think that was us bouncing off the bull market support band. I know we didn't come down and touch it, and I've told you the reasons why. If we didn't have the ETFs buying, we would have probably done this. So, not having touched this bull market support band is not my worry at this moment in time. I do think we've touched it, and I do think that this has kind of helped us out. We are seeing these huge wicks that we're seeing here. Let me just move in a touch. These wicks that we see here, this is just flushing out all the leverage on the way up. Again, another positive sign. The RSI has been higher, but we are very high. 75, still a very high. Could we come down? Absolutely. Could we come down and break below 69,000? Maybe. I do think the previous all-time high is going to be a good level of support. So maybe we will bounce off 70,000. So what could happen, and again, coulda, woulda, shoulda, what could happen is we could come up today, touch 74, 74.3, whatever it might be, and then get rejected and come back down, touch the 69 level, and then move back up and either break it or again have another crack at it. So again, I think 64 could be a decisive price for us to break through. And remember, we are in price discovery. There is an awful lot less Bitcoin left to buy than there was 2 months ago. 330,000 less Bitcoin on the market. That's going to get worse. That's why I cannot say that we're going to... I can't say that we're going to do this, because every day, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Bitcoin is just sucked out of the market by these ETFs. And there's no sign of them giving up. There's no sign of a slowing down. In fact, over the last week and a half, it's actually got stronger. Monday was the second best day for trading, inflows wise. I think 7,500 Bitcoin yesterday was taken off the market. How long can that keep us going? For some time would be my answer. For some time, simply because 7,000 a day. And from April, 450 new Bitcoin a day being created. You do the math. For me, the price has to move up to a level where Bitcoin can be purchased at a sustainable rate. And that sustainable rate is a price people are willing to sell at, number one, and a price miners are willing to sell at. Because those 450 Bitcoin a day, what happens if the miners don't sell? What happens if the miners sit there and say, you know what, if we hold on to every single Bitcoin mined for the next 6 months, there'll be no new Bitcoin coming to the market. The price of Bitcoin today could be 80,000. If we don't sell any for 6 months, the price of Bitcoin could be 400,000. So we could sell slowly but surely in 6 months' time at 5 times the price it is today. So think about that. 450 days, the maximum number of Bitcoin that will be sent to market. Doesn't mean it's going to be 450. So while we're still seeing numbers above 1,000, so if we see net inflows above 1,000 for these ETFs per day, we are going to continue to see the price rise. And only when there's a sell-off from the ETFs, only when that 1,000 drops and they're burning out, only then will we see the price stabilize and come down, in my opinion. So that's where we are with Bitcoin. Let's have a quick look now at some layer 2s on Ethereum. Remember, say hello wherever you are. Drop a comment in chat. Let me know what you think. Where do you think Bitcoin is going to be by the halving? Do you think we're going to get to 80,000 by the halving? Do you think we're going to have a correction? Maybe we get to the halving at 69,000. Let me know in the comments. I do see some of the comments. I am not all alone in the comments. I do read what you are saying. So let's move on. So crypto price prediction. Top layer 2 tokens to watch ahead of the Denken. Now, other people call it Denken, but I'm going to call it Denken because I'm from the north of England and we call things what we want up there. Tariq, good morning to you. Good morning, Tariq. I hope you managed to buy your coins before this mini pump. So crypto price prediction. The Ethereum Denken upgrade setting the stage for increased adoption and innovation in layer 2 projects may boost the recovery trend in OP, Arbitrum and Strike. Is that Strike? Now, one thing I will say, and I've commented on this yesterday, Arbitrum's unlock of 83%. I don't know a way that it isn't going to push the prices down for Arbitrum. It's a cliff, which means all the people that invested early on into Arbitrum are going to get their tokens. Don't worry. I mean, Tariq, there's never a good time to buy and sell because you'll always sell $1,000 under the top. You'll always buy just after it's popped up a little. If you've got Solana at $100 to $150, if you've got Ethereum at Bitcoin at 70, if you've got Ethereum at $4,000, you're going to do perfectly fine in the next 12 to 18 months, especially with the ETF. How can I transfer AVO to my Binance wallet? You will need Binance. Oh, I can't mention the word, sorry. How do you transfer AVO to your exchange? You need to wait for the exchange to open up deposits and withdrawals. So when there's a new coin added, and this happens with many new coins, what tends to happen is they will launch the coin on their platform, they will sell, they will generate the liquidity, and then they will open deposits and withdrawals. So I would say probably by tomorrow, you'll be able to send your AVO to your exchange. I hope that answers the question. So I don't see Arbitrum's price doing anything but going down for the time being because of their unlock. But with this Denken upgrade, and we've talked about this before, these layer 2s are going to become more profitable overnight. The second it goes live, the fees charged to layer 2s is going to come down by about 75%. Those fees will be passed on to people that use Optimism, that use Matic, whatever it might be, but they will probably keep a small amount more. So expect. Now, let's see if this mentions here. Yeah, I don't think Arbitrum is what we're going to look at. I'll look at Optimism. So Optimism is a layer 2, we know this. So the Denken upgrade scheduled for March the 13th, which is, of course, today. The gas fee will go from $1.42 to 28 cents, which is, of course, great for everybody building on a layer 2 on Ethereum, because suddenly you become You're not as cheap as Solana or as Cardano, but you're not multiples more expensive. So I would expect Optimism to do well in the next 6 months. I would expect Polygon to do exceptionally well in the next 6 months. Starknet, again, I'd expect that to do well. I got an airdrop of Starknet, and I think it's up about 50% since I got the airdrop, which was only a few weeks ago. So I think Starknet will do well. So the takeaway, here we go. I'm going to have to rush along a bit before we run out of time. The upcoming why don't people ever spell check? Denken upgrade on the Ethereum network is set to bolster scalability, fortify security, and ramp up overall network efficiency. A more robust and efficient Ethereum network could bolster the overall ecosystem. It needs to. Remember, when Ethereum gets busy, the gas fees become astronomical. Back in the last bull run, people were paying upwards of $500 to $1,000 in gas fees. Even in the pits of the bear market that we've just seen, it was still $15 or $20 a transaction. It's astronomical. That's why layer 2s will always have a place in the Ethereum ecosystem, because they can roll up all the transactions and apply them as one to Ethereum. The Denken upgrade just makes their lives a lot easier doing that. So for me, this is good news for Ethereum, but better news for the layer 2s. Now, the ETH killer, let's call it the ETH killer. Raoul Pal unveils massive price target for Solana, says big trade for crypto now on. Now, before we begin this article, and I haven't read it, people like Crypto's Arrows George have suggested that Solana could hit $1,000 this year. I don't expect that kind of price action from any alt of that size this year. I think if we can get to $450 to $500 by the end of the year, we'll have done exceptionally well. Because if we get to $1,000 by the end of this year, where do we go towards the end of next year? Are you telling me that we're going to see a $2,000, $2,500 Solana by the end of the bull run? That's incredibly high for a top 10. In fact, it's a top 5 alt. So I think if we're at $500 and we top out at $1,000, $1,200 in the end of the bull run, I'd be very happy. Now, Raoul Pal is an Ethereum maxi, I suppose you could call him. Really nice guy to listen to, really easy on the ear, really knowledgeable. Has got in bed with a few people that people don't like. So he's got, some people call him a shiller. I've watched him. I've never seen him shill anything apart from his own company, which is fine. I don't mind Raoul Pal. I think he does a very good Friday night AMA where he sits there, drinks wine, and just talks about crypto to people. Perfectly fine. Now, he's become a bit of a Solana maxi as well and thinks all-time highs this market cycle. I mean, he's stating the obvious. The majority, not all, the majority of layer 1 and layer 2 projects and DeFi projects that have got sustainable business models are probably all going to put in new all-time highs. Thinking that Solana is going to hit an all-time high when it was $8 last year, that was wishful thinking because it needed to 30x. Now we're at $150. I think the all-time high is $250. So we are probably going to do an all-time high this year. And then moving into next year, should we see a 3 or 4x of the previous all-time high, it would be if you gave me $1,000 Solana today, I would take it. If you gave me a $500 Solana by the end of the year, I'd absolutely take it. Because remember, Solana already has quite a big market cap. It's already at 50-60 billion. So to get to a $500 price, let's call that a 4x for argument's sake. That would give it a $200 billion market cap. That's getting very, very sizable in terms of market cap. And remember, the larger the market cap, the harder it is to move the price of a token. It's easy having a $1 million meme coin and somebody putting $50,000 into it, and suddenly that's a $6 million meme coin. That's easy. But when you're moving from 50 billion to 200 billion, that is some shift you've got to put in to move the price. Now, of course, ETFs would do that. If there was a Solana ETF on the horizon, maybe next year it's talked about, that would shift the price most certainly north of $1,000. The same way that Ethereum, the price, Altcoin Daily has said that Ethereum is going to hit $10,000 this cycle. We're already at $4,000. If we double where we are now, that's not the largest market cap. We hit 6 trillion in the last bull run. 6 trillion in the last bull run. So we need to be looking towards 8 to 10 trillion in this bull run. Now, if that's 3x where we are now, that puts Ethereum at $12,000. But we have the ETF to come. So that $12,000, we should probably be looking at $20,000 for Ethereum. And that's not based on moon math, that's based on the external flow of capital into BlackRock. Because BlackRock are going to turn around and say, look how well you've done with Bitcoin. And here is Bitcoin version 2, Ethereum. And even if it only gets a tenth of the money coming in, or a fifth of the money coming in that we had in Bitcoin, Ethereum is going to rocket. And it deserves to rocket. It's a great blockchain. It's just really slow. And it is going to power the banking DeFi tokenization of real world assets in the future. Maybe not directly, maybe through a layer 2, but it is going to be there. So Raoul Pal, very bullish on Solana. If you kind of replicate what ETH did last cycle, there's a 45x from the low. So you'd get somewhere about $500. If I look at the other charts, I get somewhere between $500 and $1,000. Is exactly what I've just been saying. And it just depends on the structure of this market. If we get a bubble cycle, it will go to 1,000. If we get some sort of left translated cycle, it could go to $500. Solana is trading at $150 today. We're in crypto summer. We've just started it. And it's up only. You get 30% pullbacks. That happens in your face in minutes. But that's crypto summer. This whole year should be crypto summer. Now, the one thing about these 30% pullbacks, if a 30% pullback, I said this yesterday, if this happens on a weekday, it's going to be eaten up by the ETFs because they're just going to absorb it. So for us to see a 30% pullback, that would take us to $50,000 from where we are now. It's doable, and it certainly wouldn't take us out of the bullish range that we're in, because that would still keep us above the bull market support band. So we could quite easily go to $50,000. But if we start to drop, the ETFs are just going to come in and buy 100, 200, 500, 1,000 Bitcoin. And that just sucks the impetus out of the correction. The same way that when you sell off at 74,000, it kills that momentum and brings us back, and then we have to build momentum again. When we drop, the ETFs are just going to kill the drop. If you look at these wicks here, look, obviously it's the longs being liquidated, but look, the wicks are all below the price action. All of that is Bitcoin, or in this case Solana, being bought. So don't expect a 30% pullback. In my opinion, don't expect a 30% pullback on a weekday when the ETFs are buying. It's going to happen. If it happens, it could happen on a Friday night, leading into a Saturday, dragging itself down on a Sunday. But the second the market opens on a Monday and those ETFs start buying at the rate they're buying, the price is just going to push back up. We're talking about thousands of Bitcoin a day being bought, and you're going to have a huge dump to sell at that rate to bring the price down that far. Now with Solana, we broke above this line. This was our resistance line. Now further up, we have our next line, which just happens to coincide with a fib level. And again, go back and look at the videos. We don't redraw these from stream to stream. Our next target is $174. We've used this beautiful trend line here, which we've covered before. And yes, if we do have a pullback, where would Solana come down to? Probably $126. $126. That ties in very nicely with, if we just move that up a second, that line there, about that line there. So we are doing quite well. In fact, I'll probably move that to there from now on. So we are doing very well on Solana. We are moving up. We are not at the highest RSI on the daily that we've been. If we switch to weekly, let's have a look. Again, the RSI is high and we are coming up on this line, but look, that trend line, I mean, that's a 45-degree angle. At some point it has to stop, but we are a ways away from the all-time high, $258, $257. We are a ways away, but again, Solana has everything you need from a blockchain. It's got meme coins, it's got DeFi, it's got massive amounts of usage. It has a huge fan base, of which I am a big fan of Solana. So for me, Solana is only going to go up. It will retrace, but I don't think it's going to break too far below this line, which is coming in, let's call it $120. April, that'll be $130. So we're moving up on this trend line. And if you look as well, this moving average is nicely following it up. So we're not seeing the same kind of dramatic action we are with Bitcoin, which is moving quite a far way away from its support band. Ethereum is just doing a nice job. It's just sitting on top. It's a really nice chart. And I do think 174 is the next target. And maybe we come back down, test support again at 144. But for me, very bullish on Solana, very bullish. When you read the press every day, when you read what the articles, and not just crypto articles, but articles from Forbes, from Financial Times, Yahoo Finance, when you read these articles, you see a sea change. You see a switch from bearish to bullish. You know, it's being mentioned on ITV News in the UK. It's being mentioned on Spanish television, on French television. We're now in the kind of awareness stage for retail that Bitcoin is back. And you know, the biggest fillip for Bitcoin is going to be when we break $100,000. Now that isn't going to be any time in very soon, but when we break $100,000, it's going to be on every single news channel. Even the Financial Times, I think yesterday or the day before, said Bitcoin is more than just a passing fad. Now we all know that Bitcoin wasn't a fad. We all know that it can create life-changing wealth, generational wealth. It can provide you with an inflation hedge. It can provide you with the ability to trade without a bank account. It can do all of these things. It's not quite all things to all men, but it has a crypto and blockchain especially. It has a position to allow you to change your life. In some instances, that's wealth. In other instances, that's business. So when you start to see the press, the real press, pop up more and more in a positive light, it's difficult to be or have a bearish scenario. And that's why I think these price targets that we break with Bitcoin, each one that we break pushes us more and more into mainstream media. There'll be more Google searches. These exchanges that we stream on will get more and more clients, which will generate more and more money, and we will bring new people to crypto. And as I've said to you before, if somebody comes to you to talk about crypto, don't laugh at them, don't mock them, don't tell them that they're a year too late. You know, if you go to the gym and you're unhealthy and unfit, you don't want to walk into a gym and people laugh at you and point. You want people to be welcoming, and your job is to welcome people to crypto. Even if you don't have the greatest knowledge, you can still help people. And that should be something that you take on as a burden. That's your contribution to the world, is to help people understand crypto, because there's more than one solution. Now, gaming, again, I've been very critical of gaming in the last 6 months, especially the metaverse side of things. I just don't see it working in its current guise. I think we're so far behind where we need to be. I've said before, I think Grand Theft Auto 5 or 6 or whatever it is comes out. If that's got the blockchain built into it, it's going to destroy every metaverse game out there, including the good ones. But there are shoots of green recovery. We are in the spring of the gaming industry as far as I'm concerned. And one of the tokens that I've been talking about a lot on this channel is Gala. Now, Gala, tanked for more than the bear market reasons. I think it was once up at 80 cents. It's now down at 7 cents. I was telling people that my target for Gala was going to be 6 cents when it was 2.5 cents. It's wholly undervalued, and we're going to look at the chart in a minute. But the reason I want to highlight these is I'm very aware in a bull market, I could just go and look at the top 5 coins which have gained in the last 24 hours and say, look at those. I told you to buy them. They're the best coins that you need to buy. And that would be remiss of me. That's not my job. My job is to try and find you value in crypto. And it's harder to find value in a bull market than it is in a bear market. Because in a bear market, they're all dropping like flies. And I can look at all the coins and say, go and buy Fetch, go and buy Ajax, not financial advice. Go and buy these coins. These coins will do well in the bull run. When you're in the bull run, you have to look at things which haven't peaked and probably are not going to peak. And yes, we could talk about XRP, but we covered that yesterday and we know why. The court case is still hanging over them. We could talk about Polygon. Polygon's going to have its time in the sun because it's massive. But AVAX is ripping, so we're not going to focus too much on AVAX, but we are going to look at Gala in a minute. And Gala at 6 or 7 cents for me is a snip, and I'll go through the chart in a second. In fact, let me very quickly bring up Gala Games. I've gone completely off-piste with this. Also, avoid all of these scams that pop up. All of these sponsored links on Google are just going to try and separate you from your crypto. Best place to go to a website like this from is CoinMarketCap. That has the official links. Now, hopefully, this is the real Gala Games. I'm not going to connect my wallet or anything, but I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to have it in the background. I'm going to have a quick look at it in a minute, but let's go through the article first. So this is by PR Manager. Now, that tells you pretty much what you need to know about the article being sponsored, I suppose, doesn't it? So, a liquidity rotation into crypto gaming has begun with Avalanche and Gala surging. This week, Avalanche is 11% up, Gala is up 52%. But still, don't worry about the 52% just yet. It's a long way from home, Dorothy. So following a monumental boom in AI and meme coin sectors, it seems gaming tokens will run next as they start outpacing the market. Prominent commentator and trader Alex Becker, who is a good guy. Bitcoin is at 69,000. In a bull, rotation into AI game coins appears clear. I do agree, but I'm not sure about AI coins right now. I think a lot of the AI coins are due a retracement. They've really ripped in the last probably month and a half. I mean, Fetch at $2.70, $2.75. I mean, it's good going. I think Ajax is $1.25, so they've really pumped. So Layer 1 blockchain, Avalanche is renowned for its gaming adoption, with several Tier 1 gaming studios like Blitz, Off the Grid, and Shrapnel all building on the network. Shrapnel in particular is very good. On Tuesday, yesterday, remember we covered that MapleStory Universe is moving over to Avalanche. It was going to launch on Matic. It has picked Avalanche. So MapleStory apparently is one of the biggest games in Korea. I don't know anything about it. However, it is going to push AVAX up. Remember, a lot of these blockchains are fighting for adoption, and they're fighting for utility, and they're fighting for usage. Imagine they're all like restaurants, and they've all got different menus on the table, and they're just trying to get custom in the door to eat their meals. That's all they're trying to do. And AVAX is in competition with Matic. Solana is in competition with everybody. Cardano is in competition with USDC and USDT. I'm joking, it's not a stable coin. Cardano is in competition with NFTs and proof of stake and things like that. Anyway, the point of the matter is that AVAX is doing a really good job of dragging people over. Now, I made a joke about 1.5 years ago about AVAX, and the reason is that AVAX, I made a joke about FIFA or UEFA using AVAX to create the NFT project for their platform. And I said the reason they picked Avalanche is because alphabetically it was just the first one on the list. And at the time, there was nothing on Avalanche. There was nothing to pick it. And since then, they've got deals with Google. They have deals with loads and loads of gaming platforms. Mohammed, when do you think we will step out from the market? If you look at the way that the crypto market is on the 4-year cycle, roughly 18 months from the halving, you get to the new all-time high, the peak of the bull run. Now, if we take that from April the 20th, it will be December the 20th, 2025. Around that point will be the peak of the bull run. That is, remember what we say on this channel, history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. And it does rhyme. It's never the same. You'll hear people say this time it's different. It is different. We had the pandemic in the past. We had different governments in the past. This time we've got, the SEC, we've got interest rates, we've got recession, we've got an election, but we also have ETFs. And that's the way you need to look at things. So for me, you should be looking at the summer onwards next year, and you need to make yourself a plan. Getting out of the market should take as long as it took you to get into the market. So if it's taken you a year to accumulate your crypto, so let's say you've been buying $50 a week for the last year. When you get to maybe the summer next year or autumn next year, and we're at, I don't know, pick a number, $200,000 Bitcoin, you should be taking 10% a week or 10% a month, however you want to DCA out. You should be taking it out from when you think we are coming up to the all-time high. And if you take out 10% a week or a month, whatever, you're going to get an average price by the end of the bull run. Now, let's say the bull run takes us to $250,000 and you DCA out. Your average cost of DCAing out might be $220,000. And that's within almost 10% of the all-time high. Then you have done incredibly well. And the reason that you dollar cost average out is because if we go 200, 250, 400,000, 350, 300, 250, when you dollar cost average out, you might average out at a price of $300,000 Bitcoin. That's perfectly fine. You're never going to time the top to the day, and neither am I. Neither's anybody out there. And if one person out there does on X or YouTube or wherever, then they've made their career for the next year because they were the person that timed the top. And the 99 million other people who didn't time the top are all going to worship him like a god. But he was lucky. I could make 50 videos giving you the exact day of the all-time high, and then delete 49 videos and point at my video and say, look how well I did, tell me when the all-time high was. What you need to do is make a plan. And your plan should be based around the 18 months period from the halving to the all-time high, which is what we've traditionally had. So sometime around August, September next year, you should be considering starting to sell. And then if you're selling 10%, let's say you sell 10% a month, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 8 months, you'll have sold 80% of your bags. It won't be 80% of your bags because you're selling 10%. It doesn't quite work that way, but you get the idea. The majority of your money will be out by the beginning and the end of that blow off top. And remember what happened in the previous bull run. We had 2 market tops as well. We had one which was about 10 weeks before the second one, something like that. I don't know what it was, 3 months before the second one. So if we have that again, you'll catch both tops, hopefully. So that's what you should do. Very long answer to your question, very sorry. But there isn't a simple answer to your question. You need to make a plan. Alternatively, you need to write down a price for every coin that you hold. So I'll give you an idea. If Cardano hits $10, I am selling every Cardano that I own. If XRP hits $6, $7, I'm going to sell every XRP I own, irrespective of the dollar cost average, because the amount of money that's going to give me, I don't care where it goes to. That's how I'm going to deal with some altcoins. Bitcoin is different. I think the dynamic of Bitcoin has changed since the ETFs have come on board. And I think the dynamic of Ethereum will change when Ethereum gets an ETF, because that money, the majority of that money is long-term holders. And I think that the price, the baseline price of Bitcoin has changed. And we're going to look back at these last 3 or 4 months as when the base price of Bitcoin changed and Bitcoin became a serious asset. And Bitcoin, again, by the end of this bull run, it's going to be the second most valuable asset in the world. Everybody's going to know that. And everybody that owns gold will also look at that and go, why are people holding Bitcoin when it's doing 10% a year and I'm holding gold and I've done 1% in 4 years? So what do you think is going to happen? People are going to leave gold and they're going to take Bitcoin. So I think the mindset of selling all of my Bitcoin in November, I've changed it, and I'm probably not going to do that. But they are just my opinions only. Back to this then. So AI gaming coins are going to rip so hard. I do agree with that. If you're a gaming token and you introduce AI to your project, you're going to 10x the value of your project overnight. Simple. I've been saying this about Star Atlas for the last 6 months. If Star Atlas introduces AI to their project, Star Atlas is going to be a $1 billion project. And it isn't at the moment, but it will be. Now, Gala Games, for those of you that don't know anything about Gala Games, this isn't sponsored, by the way. I'm not paid by anybody to say these things. Gala Games allows you to re-engineer blockchain capabilities into your games. It also allows you to build your games on a blockchain. And from your point of view, you can run a node. You can run a music node and you can run a gaming node, and you can earn fees from people playing on your blockchain. Now in here, you've got some really good games. Grit, we've covered before. Battlestar Galactica, we've covered before. Walking Dead, we've covered before. Last Expedition, we've covered before. I think Spider Tanks is on here as well somewhere. So they've got a lot of very... Spider Tanks is there. We've got a lot of very... not necessarily household names, but it's easy to build on. I believe they are moving from Ethereum to a different chain. I think I covered that in one of the articles. Now, one of the reasons I don't like games on Ethereum is the cost. It's too expensive, and I don't like that. So for me, Gala, I think did it move to Matic? I think. Anyway, doesn't really matter. The point of it is they're a good project. They were overvalued, and now, in my opinion, they're undervalued. And what we're going to do, we're going to scrap the wallet warning at the end, and probably final thoughts, because we've gone way past 12 o'clock. So here we are. Now, for those of you that have watched me before, you know exactly what I'm going to say. Okay? And that red zone, should we go to weekly? Is it going to be easier to see on weekly? That red zone for any project that you believe in is the kill zone. This is the zone to accumulate a coin. If you believe, not me, if you believe this project is going to be a long-term success, then this area down here is where you should consider buying the token. The reason I say that is that we are at the bottom of the fib. We've come down. We had an almighty crash. If you go back up and you look at the all-time high, which I think I said was 85 cents. Where did we get to? 87 cents. Now that was peak hysteria. Let's not forget that. I sold my Gala at about 65 cents. So I didn't do bad. I got nowhere near the top, however, but I did get out before it came plummeting down. Now, where did we get to? We got to 1.5 cents, 1.7 cents. Now, do I think it was overvalued at 86 cents? Absolutely, but everything was. in the bull run. In the bull run, you look at projects, and I'm going to say the same thing. How is that meme coin valued at $3 billion? How is this gaming project valued at $60 billion? That's the kind of conversation you need to have with yourself. Now, we've recently touched 7.2 cents and we couldn't break it. When I say recently, on the weekly chart, this is August 2022. We couldn't get above it. Also, we broke above its support band. We barely held it. We broke down. Now, we came above the support band, and guess what? We've come up. We've broken this level from August 2022. We've retested it. So where do you think it's going to go now? 11 cents. Now, again, I can't guarantee it will go to 11 cents, but it makes sense to go to 11 cents. If Gala Games has any AI involvement, if it does a deal with Singularity, if it does a deal, because Singularity is one of probably the kookiest AI, or Render, for example, if it signs a deal with an AI project, Gala is going to go probably somewhere up here if it announces it. And it hasn't done, as far as I'm aware, because if it did, this would be far more significant. So gaming tokens are undervalued, and the reason you know they're undervalued is you see this kind of movement for nothing. As the article was saying, I've done a 6x, 7x on my AI token, and I'm not going to sell them. But if I was more of a trader, what I would do is I would rotate half of my bag from Fetch into something like Gala. So I'd sell half my Fetch and buy Gala. Why? Because there's more chance of Gala going to 35 cents than there is of Fetch going to $20 because of the market cap, because of the size of Fetch already. So that's what I would do with Gala. Mohammed, I have one more question. My bag is full of altcoins. Is the escape plan that you told me? Do I use it with my bag or just on Bitcoin? Don't worry about your English. You're not here for an English test. What I would do is look at the all-time high of all of your altcoins and see if you think that those altcoins. There's a really good website which I'm going to show you. Is it this one? So this is called Coin Go Live. This shows you how far off the all-time high your token is. So Mohammed, what you would do is go on here and get the all-time high price for your token. Now I'm going to give you some examples. Do I think BNB and Sol are going to break their all-time high? Yes, I do. Do I think Bitcoin Cash is going to break its all-time high? No, I do not. Do I think ICP is going to go from $14 to $700? Absolutely not. Do I think Filecoin is going to go to $236 in this bull run? No, I do not. So what you have to look at is and you have to decide, not me, you have to decide how close to all-time high these coins are going to get first. Because there's some of your coins that you might have made profits on, like Bitcoin Cash, like ICP. Now, ICP's done very well for me. I got ICP at $4 or $5, maybe $3 or $4. I don't know exactly, but it was cheapish at the start of last year. I am not expecting $700. So what I would do is for these kind of coins, rather than look at the all-time high, I would say, could this coin 10x from here? And for anything outside of the top 10, the answer is yes, it could. So IMX is going to absolutely rip. Solana is going to absolutely rip. Aptos will do really well. Casper, Render, all of those altcoins will do really well. And I wouldn't look at selling out of most of those just yet, because I do think you're going to do quite well out of them. Non-financial advice, of course. So anything from 11 to 30, rule of thumb, 11 exit. Anything from probably Solana, BNB is, we'll ignore BNB. Anything from Solana down to Doge should at least 5x, depending on how far it is away from its all-time high. So XRP, I expect it to be at $1.50 by the time all the court case is taken out. So if that 5x's, that'd be $7.50, a great price. That would double its all-time high. Solana, if that 5x is from here, that would be $750, which is halfway between the $500 and $1,000 target that we've had for it. Now again, this is strictly rule of thumb. ADA at 76 cents. If that 5x's, that would put it at roughly $4. I think it's going to go anywhere between $5 and $8. So you've got to look at the market cap. You can't just say everything's going to 10x. It doesn't work that way. If Bitcoin 10x'd, why buy any other coin? Put all your money into Bitcoin. Buy all the Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't going to 10x. If Bitcoin 3x's from here, that would be $220,000 a Bitcoin. I would snap your hand off for that. Ethereum with an ETF could hit $20,000. That's a 5x, yes. If it doesn't get the ETF in time and it 3x's, that would put it at $12,000. So look at the market cap when you work out where you think the price could go. Don't always look at the all-time high, because in some instances where it's 97% away from its all-time high, you need to 10x it and say, if ICP hit $120, $150, would I be happy? Absolutely, I would. Look at it that way and make a plan in your head. And maybe IMX 20x is from here. Take some profit. You're never going to go broke taking profits. Even if you take the profits in March or April, take some money off the table. That's what I would do. Anyway, so Gala, I expect a retest of 10 cents, and 10 cents could very well be a tough line for it to break. If it does break that, I'm just going to go off the fib levels, because the fib levels for coins like this, they do act as a good level. I mean, we've come up, look what we've done. We've broken out, we've tested this fib level. Maybe we move up like that. That's how I see it. It is undervalued for me. I don't think that we are going to see too much more downward action for Gala, because it's too good a project to fail. It's too good a project to not be a success. There's other projects on here which are one-trick ponies, which are games where it's a single game, and I just don't think it's going to work. Gala, as we've looked at, it's got multiple games to succeed and fail. So it's 12:13. That is the end of the show. Mohammed, no problem. I'm glad you had the courage to ask the questions. Lots of people come on here and they get scared of talking or asking questions. It doesn't matter. No one's gonna laugh at your questions. The questions are meant to be asked, and it's a question that I've got. I don't know when I'm going to sell, but I'm going to make a plan, and your plan has to change with the market. My plan was to sell everything 6 months ago, and now my plan is maybe not sell Bitcoin, or maybe not sell all my Bitcoin. Maybe I'll sell 1 Bitcoin, maybe I'll sell 2 Bitcoin, but my plan isn't to sell all of it at this moment in time. But trust me, if we get to a crazy number, I will take the money and then I will hopefully be able to buy back in at a lower price. But at this moment in time, I'm not planning on selling all of my Bitcoin. Now, that is the end of the show, 12:14. I haven't managed to catch too many conversations or too many chats. I do know that Tariq and a few others are out there. I've given up trying to keep one of the chats from from being spammed because it's pointless. I need a full-time person to sit here monitoring chat for me. So what's important is I am back tomorrow. I am back tomorrow at 11 a.m. So what you need to do is bookmark us, follow us, subscribe, whatever it is you can do, and turn your notifications on. And when we go live tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, we will do this entire thing all over again. So to Gianni, Mohammed, Tariq, Vlogs, Hidden Agendas, Tartaland, and Kishan, I wish you all a great afternoon. I am going to make some videos today, by the way. I had a day off yesterday. You get video block where you can't make videos, and I got that yesterday, but I have a couple of videos to make today, so I'm going to do them now. So thanks to everybody. See you all in the morning. Take care, and I hope your bags are healthy and your head is clear. Take care.